Hi, everyone. Cathy Konner from Proviser here. In today's podcast, we're going to talk about insurance, protecting yourself, your practice, your employees, you name it. Be sure to listen.
OrthoMarketing.com, 360-degree digital marketing solutions for your practice.
Well, hello, everybody out there in podcast land. This is Dean Steinman from Ortho Marketing. And guess what? We are back with another podcast for you. So welcome, everybody. Welcome. It's now the middle of the winter, 2025, and calendars changed. And now it's time to talk about your practice and the importance of taking your practice to the next level, keeping your staff on board, and to help you understand options for you to really make a difference in your practice. So I've got two guests today that I'm so excited to have aboard with me. I have Samantha Konner and Cathy Konner from Proviser. Samantha is the founder and president of the company, and Samantha is the COO. And I'm so excited to have them on board, and they're going to tell you a little bit about what they do and talk a little bit about the dental and orthodontic industry, and very importantly, how you guys can really learn to keep your key people on board and different options for you there, because it's so hard, as you know, for staffing, and to make sure you've got somebody on board. So Samantha, Cathy, thanks so much for joining. I appreciate it. Hope all is well. Welcome.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah. Thanks
Good.
for having us.
My
Thanks for having
pleasure.
us.
You got it. So, Cathy, you're the founder, president of the company. Tell us a little bit about you and Proviser, please.
Okay. Well, we're a financial advisory firm, first and foremost. But over the years, I founded the company in 2020, I guess, was my first foray in the dental world. And since then, we've kind of grown and morphed into a full service advisory firm for dentists, whether they're just coming out of residency or school or transitioning into practice ownership. We handle, or we help handle every step of that way. Of course, and most of that, of course, is introductions, like, for instance, to you. I know nothing about marketing other than what I've been told over the years,
Right.
and how important it is. So, so we really do everything. And I think that when I first got into the financial consulting world, I saw that there was just a huge void of this industry being serviced. And it's important that, our clients, dentists, no matter general, specialist, it's so important that these clients surround themselves with people who know their industry.
Right.
I mean, they couldn't, Ortho Marketing couldn't be more specific,
Mm-hmm.
but it's important that you have this niche for them,
Right.
and as with us.
Great. Thanks. So, Samantha, tell us a little bit about what you guys do and why does somebody need insurance? Why does a dentist need your services?
Yeah, so I think kind of is twofold. First of all, a lot of our insurances are state law that we offer. So
Okay.
there's some things that are, that you need to get, to get a bank loan and to get, to cover state requirements, but also, just the overall protection, and to come to someone like us who really has, like Cathy said, a firm hold on all of the different markets and everything that's out there. And you're not just going to your local state farm and getting a policy, but you're going to someone that understands dentistry, which I think is probably the biggest reason why, we come into play, is because we know we might not be dentists, but it's what we do all day, every day. And really to have that conversation about, if you're going to State Farm, are they really thinking about sewers backing up into your chairs, right? And how that can affect, an insurance claim. Which is probably the biggest thing that's, different, right? So having those dental specific policies and dental specific protection is really important. So that's kind of our biggest reason on protection, on why we focus on one place, because dentistry is so different from any other market, right? Who else is worrying about plumbing going up through a chair, right? You're
Right.
it.
Smart.
Unfortunately, that conversation is from experience.
Right.
Um, what were you going to say, Kathy? Oh, so yeah, and I think the other thing, on why protecting other parts of protection also are like you said, Dean, earlier, is there's other types of protecting, like just like protecting yourself versus your employees, protecting your employees, as well as those types of protections that we can kind of help you with that are also so dental specific.
Hmm. What would you say right off the bat is the number one void of in coverage that a practice needs that they don't realize they need by going with somebody that's not an expert? You mentioned the sewage or the backup. Is that the number? So what's going to be the top two things that somebody right after this should look at their policy, and if they don't have it, need to make a phone call to you?
First and foremost is a dental specific product, like for sewers, for materials, for like that type of things, for those type of issues. And then the other two are ones that are employee practice liability. That is a big one that we see that just people don't have on their policies. And what that is that is protecting you from being sued by either a employee that's claiming things like discrimination, or or a patient that's doing discrimination or claiming discrimination against an employee. So all of what the employee's actions are, as well as yourself, you're considered an employee in that. But that's a big one that we see missing. You're standing over patients. It's a very intimate relationship with the dentist. So a lot of people don't have employee practice liability. And then the third, I would say, is data breach, which is, you're claiming so much. The hackers are changing the world, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Companies cannot keep up with how quickly these hackers are learning things. And you don't think about a dental office, you're thinking about credit card companies and banks and financial firms that need this data breach insurance, but they're going after these little guys who have a lot of personal information on their clients.
And
Right.
a lot of exposure.
Huge. Yeah.
No
A lot of exposure.
encryption.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got one client that got the data breached and got locked out and ransomware, and he had to spend $200,000 to unlock his computer. A is because he didn't real think to get it off a computer and put it on the cloud. All right, first and foremost, and secondly, didn't have the insurance for it. So that was a heck of a check to write out because it wasn't prepared properly, and he had no choice. It's pay it or you're gone. So super important, guys. After listening to this, and don't do it right now, but after listening to this, check your policy, and then you have a really good resource to contact. Now, also, let's talk a little bit about employees and attracting people. All right, because when we met, and you guys gave me a great case study and a story about what a practice can do as far as making investments into their key employees and making it valuable for them to stay on. So, why don't you talk a little bit about a good case study that can give somebody a peace of mind to know they're not going to lose them key employee because they're invested in them.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, it's so important because, first of all, it's very hard to find
Right.
great employees these
Sure is.
days. I mean, outside of stealing somebody from another practice,
Right.
it's tough. I mean, we know several people who have dental staffing companies, and everyone's hungry. A lot of people didn't want to go back to work after COVID, so staffing is definitely an issue, and we get it in the beginning if somebody's just doing a startup, or let's say a new startup. Everybody's got their hand out for money.
Mm-hmm.
You need this, we need to change the plumbing, whatever. It's very tight at the time, but the one thing that they forget is valuing their employee. It's and it's more than just giving them benefits, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's empowering these people. It's recognizing, first of all, as the chief dishwasher there, or
Mm-hmm.
chief clinician there, you have to decide if that person is a good fit for the role that they're playing. And then when you realize that that's your person, you want to empower them to become also a leader in your practice, because you should only have one job as a practitioner, and that's, doing clinical work.
Right.
You shouldn't have to worry about the schedule. You shouldn't have to worry, and you know this, I'm sure you teach this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so not only empowering your employees by, getting them educated, taking them, taking your whole group to further educate them as how they can work as a team, but the benefits that you can give them. Let's say that we can help doctors, you know, find the right fit for their practice, come in the form of a 401k or group health or life insurance. I think this is one of the stories that we spoke about,
Yeah.
that life insurance is becoming a huge asset to many of our practitioners, whereas they give a life insurance policy to their employees, and the practice is partly beneficiary as well as that employee's family.
Hmm.
So it's very much deeper and much more complicated than I'm making it out to be. But that's something you don't see. Certainly, as Samantha said, there are state mandated benefits that you have to give an employee. But outside of that, what is going to make a difference? A Something like a cash valued life insurance policy that they can actually look at the statement every month and see that they're accruing cash, that they're saving,
Right.
is very powerful. The 401k also is nice, but
Mm-hmm.
that's their money going in, really. So
Right.
this is something that you give to that employee as a benefit. Beyond that, and beyond the state mandated, I think group health, certainly we hear it all the time that the practice owner says, I can't afford it, because I've got 5 60-year-olds working for
Right.
me. It's expensive, and
It
the
is. Yeah.
doctor's 30. So he acquired this practice with these great employees, but he feels like he or she feels like he can't afford it.
Right.
We can find a plan that works, because those employees are going to leave if this is a benefit that they need, and the selling doctor, perhaps, that was a benefit that they have, and now, the new doctor doesn't want to put that in place.
It's very expensive, as you know. Listen, as a small business owner, I need to do everything
Yes.
possible to keep my employees. And besides payroll, insurance is my biggest expense.
Yes.
It's crazy, and so it's great to people should realize now you have options out there, guys.
Yes.
Especially you have to go to whatever you've got. There are certain opportunities, especially ones that can be worked in. Do you guys also like roll things up for bigger companies together, or is there a particular size that a practice should look at, or if there are two or three employees, is that okay, or do you need to have a certain number?
You want to answer that, Sam?
Yeah, it can really, to be honest, it can just be, it has to be more than one person. So it
Okay.
can't just be the owner, and
Okay.
you can't discriminate. So if you can't just put in a group health plan for like you and your husband that works for you, and then not give it to your employees.
Okay.
So, you have to have it for everyone. But if you can do it for you and your family and one employee, is very, you can do that. Or if you have 30 employees, you can
Okay.
do it for them.
Yeah.
You can you
Is
can
it
discriminate against yourself. So like if you have 10, 15 employees,
right?
you can say, I don't want to be on this. That's okay. People can opt out, but you
Okay.
have to offer it to everyone.
Yeah.
Now, do you have to, if you offer to pay for a full person's benefits, do you have to offer that for everybody, or can you like classify somebody that you'll contribute versus like if you have your main office manager and you say part of the perk is I'm going to pay for your insurance, but then you have a part-time person or a lower level person, do you have to offer the same exact coverage, or
There's
can?
there are different classifications. You can offer different levels to different leveled people. They just have to be kind of classified correctly. And in the state of, at least in the state of New Jersey and a lot of other states, it also depends on what type of corporation you have. So if you have an LLC versus a C corp, there's some insurances that changes how you offer things to people.
Hmm,
It changes whether you can be in them or not, or whether you can opt out of things or not. So every state has like a little bit of a different kind of intricacy there. Like I'm just going to use an example. In New Jersey, if you're an LLC, you can opt out as the owner in your workers' comp, but in New York you can't. Like, it's
hmm,
completely different. So
right,
every state is a little bit different on
okay.
that front, and it just depends on your situation. But a 5-minute phone call, with one of us, or our group health expert, we can figure that out for you, in 2 questions.
Okay.
um,
So, we have people listen to all over the world, but let's talk from the States. Do you guys, if somebody in any state, will you be able to work with somebody?
yep,
Okay.
Yes. Oh,
all
we're
50 states.
all 50 states.
Oh, great.
And to partly answer your question before, yeah. So when we're looking to work with a client, where if you're a sole proprietor with just one employee, or you have, 50 employees, really we can handle anything.
Okay.
And some of those benefits, as Sam was saying, not only you cannot discriminate, but a lot of them, like let's say a profit sharing plan, that goes by, how much money they're making. So if you have very high earners, that could, possibly cost you more to contribute to that for these employees. But chances are the doc is the highest earner,
We
hopefully,
hope.
in that practice, although we have some stories. But we won't talk about embezzlement right now. But certainly that's something you
That's
have
big.
to
Yeah.
protect yourself from as well.
Mm,
We have many clients who've had bad apples, take
yeah.
advantage of them in their practice. Um,
This podcast is sponsored by orthomarketing.com. Hey, you an orthodontist or dentist looking to give your practice the competitive edge it deserves? Well, look no further than Ortho Marketing. Ortho Marketing is the dentist and orthodontist choice for digital marketing. At Ortho Marketing, we specialize in helping orthodontists and dentists just like you attract more new patients. Our team of experts knows the ins and outs of the dental and orthodontic industry, and we're here to help your practice shine. We're going to supercharge your online presence. We're going to optimize your website. We're going to harness the power of social media to connect you with the patients that you want. Say goodbye to empty chairs and say hello to a thriving practice. Choose Ortho Marketing today and watch your patient list grow. Visit orthomarketing.com and learn more and take the first steps towards your practice success. Ortho Marketing. It's not just our name, it's what we do. It's bad. I've had a guest in the past that was expert in embezzlement, and it's astronomical what percentage of practices are getting stolen from.
I'm-
It's more than half. It's incredible,
it is.
and you don't know until you know. That's the
Right,
problem,
exactly.
Well, and going
Exactly.
back to data breach insurance we talked about earlier, we had a client whose office manager had hacked into their payroll company and was writing herself checks
Mhm.
that no one, that like small enough that it wouldn't like hit the bottom line, and just writing herself checks to like give herself more payroll because she was in charge of payroll. And and that was a data breach.
right?
That was because they were logging in, she was logging in as the dentist.
You don't, because you're focused on running your business. You don't look into it there, and there's so many ways to do that. So you have to be careful. Even though somebody you think you've been trusting for 20 years, right there is the biggest problem.
Yeah.
Which is, it's a shame that happens, but and so that's why we have to need somebody like this. So obviously, there's lots of different types of insurance, from financial to liability to running a business. What would you say are the three main policies that somebody should have as a practice? Let's say for a young practice, a startup through 3 years or what have you. What are the three main things that they should be able to look at to make sure they have in place as they grow in the practice?
I think just, malpractice insurance. So you want to make sure that you have the right coverage, and also you want to make sure that your entity is covered. So there's a lot of solo practitioners out there that, oh, I have malpractice insurance. Yes, but do you have malpractice insurance to cover your entity?
Mm.
So you have like a 1099, you have an endodontist, or a perio guy coming in, once a month to see your patients. And even though you never even look or lay eyes on that patient, because that independent contractor is in your practice,
Mm.
providing a service to another patient, if that, let's say the perio, gets served with a malpractice lawsuit, your entity is going to be sued and you are also.
Mm. Okay.
So having an entity policy is important. And I would say what Samantha was speaking about earlier, EPLI, wrongful termination. Yes, sexual harassment comes up, discrimination, but I would say EPLI is used mostly for wrongful termination, because so you have to treat all your employees equally. You can't have in your employee handbook, if you're late more than 6 times, we're going to have to take action or write you up or whatever. You can't have somebody let's say you have a rock star hygienist who just blows everyone else away, but she shows up late every day, but she's the hardest worker. She gets the most done. And yet here's somebody who is always on time, but is like a turtle, like a slowpoke. Maybe for no other reason than that's just how she works. She's more methodical. She's not, working at high, she's working at her own speed. Yeah, that's a problem where, doctors treat people differently. And that could be a wrongful termination case easy. If you fire the person who's slow because she's too slow, she can say, well, really? This person comes in late every single day, has never been written up. Why aren't you firing her? Type of thing. So that stuff goes on all the time. And when you're brand new, you're hiring new people. You haven't established, a stat who's valuable and who's going to work out. EPLI insurance is very important. And these insurances are cheap. They're just added on. I mean, some of them are standalone policies, but in most cases, we can just add it to their existing business owner's policy. And it's like a rider, an option on a car. It's very, very inexpensive compared to the car.
And
Uh,
especially if you're from the EPLI standpoint and the termination and having that as a new practice owner, even if you're doing an acquisition, that means normally you're acquiring all of the staff and you're probably very much younger than the person you're buying it from. So, whoever that might be that's been the office manager for 40 years, you're probably not going to work with that person the same as the person you bought the practice from. And very often we see those issues. And that's where EPLI comes in a lot. It's not just hiring new people, it is getting rid of the people that you were like, oh, I'm going to keep them. They're great. And then you realize that, they're not, right? Because you're in a different situation. So especially if you buy a brand new practice, making sure that you really vet out those people. And if you don't, that you have the backup of EPLI.
Yeah. But also, I think that, and I'm not sure, Dean, if you talk to your clients about that, but probably the best way to go in an acquisition situation is sit down with all your new employees and say, all right, here's the good news and the bad news. The bad news is all y'all are getting fired tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. I have to let you all go, but at 9:05, I'm going to rehire you all. And the reason for that is because now they go into a new probation period as you as their boss, right? Now they have to
Oh.
sign your employee handbook that lays out the rules, spends a great deal of time of laying out rules that could mitigate a employment practice liability, like a wrongful termination or a sexual harassment. Those kind of clauses in employee handbook put the ball in the employee's court. So if it's in the handbook that if you're being harassed at work, it is incumbent upon you as the employee to put it in writing, your situation, what's going on, and then I'll mediate, or I'll look at that and determine what course of action has to be taken, because it puts the ball in the employee's court to tell you what's going on so that you can absolutely handle it. Before people even did employee handbooks or used them, I mean, there were lawsuits all over for stupid things that could have been avoided, if they had that employee handbook. So when you fire everyone and rehire them, then you have your own employee handbook. You walk them through the rules, and you said, then they have a whole new set of benefits. You can change them, or you could say,
So
I'm going to make them better.
how does somebody get an employee handbook? Do they get it from an HR company? Do they get it from you? Do they have to hire a lawyer? Because I have one for my company and my place, and it's an integral part of what I do. But somebody doesn't have one. How do they even go about researching it or finding the right way to put one together?
There's a lot of options. The ADA, actually, if you're a member of the ADA, they have like a free version online. It's very broad in general. You could just out of, trying to save money, you could take that and then kind of, work with that frame and add, employment harassment clauses. But for you to do that, you would need somebody who has some knowledge of legal issues or legal precedent in that state, because there is some state specificity where it comes to that.
Yeah, the
So
AAO has one as well, has one on their website that's much like the ADA. But the best place to probably go is whoever helped you with your purchase, if they're also an employment attorney. A lot of them are. They're like dental specific attorneys out there. They're going to have, they're most likely in your state. They're most likely, in your realm. They understand the employment law and if they can't do it because they're just practice acquisitions, but they probably know someone in your state that's all they do is they read employment contracts and they help people write handbooks. So whoever your employment contract with, whoever you used for your practice acquisition, that's a good place to go first, to make an employee handbook. And then, obviously, if you don't want to spend that money, like Cathy said, the ADA, the AAO, your malpractice company probably has a template as well. I know MedPro is a big one. They have a template on their website that's available to you, just to kind of get those dental specific or orthodontic specific words.
yeah, it's important to have that right out of the gate, because you really can't have an employee sign it 6 months after you opened your door, and all of a sudden you're presenting them this and they're like, wait a minute, you can't actually have them sign that without some consideration, believe it or
Interesting.
not.
Yeah. How
So
often?
you
How
you
often
want to
should
do it.
somebody? I'm sorry. How often should somebody meet with somebody like you to check to make sure everything is squared away, make sure you have the right policy, make sure you have the right updates, make sure you have the right programs in place? Do you guys do this monthly, quarterly, yearly, every 10 years? How often? What's the ideal scenario for somebody to pick up the phone?
We look at all of our clients' information annually. We do an annual review for all of our clients. Most of our policy terms are for a year. So that's kind of when we can look at new things. However, we're in constant contact with our clients. So we are always asking the questions. Like we do we call it spring cleaning. Everyone hears from us in the spring. So it's spring cleaning. What's wrong? What's right? Like this is part of your spring duties before summer hits. But at very least, your person that does this for you should be reaching out to you.
Mhm.
But if they're not, you should at very least be looking at all of your policies annually, especially because insurance companies tend to change prices. They go to the insurance board and they
Yeah.
ask for increases. I mean, they ask for things to be changed. So your policy could be getting exponentially more expensive because you're in California. Perfect example, unfortunately, are these wildfires in California, right? Those policies in California, depending on how many offices a company lost, one company could raise their prices crazy because they had X number of losses, and another company might have just lucked out and had no losses, and their prices aren't going to go up. So moving you from a company to one company, just having that annual renewal, you're probably paying too much because something happened with that company. So at minimum, you should be looking at everything annually.
Yeah, and unfortunately, people who are not our clients, when they do become our clients, they're like, we ask them, when was the last time you looked at your policies and
Like,
what they offer? They've never looked at them.
I got it at
In 20
graduation
years.
is our favorite line.
What's that?
I got it at graduation.
Right.
And they're cool.
That too.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's right. You got to look at it, guys. It's like anything. You have to have a checkup. You should meet with your financial planner. You should meet with your
exactly.
accountant. You should meet with your lawyer. You should meet with this this is such an important part of your company and your health and the growth. This is incredible. So, guys, thanks so much for joining. I really appreciate it. This has been so insightful. So, if somebody wants more information, learn about you guys, or just set up a call, what's the best way for them to do so?
Probably our website is the best way to reach us. You can get all my personal information right on the front page. Usually you start with me at Proviser. So Proviser Protect, just like it, .us is the best way to get a hold of me.
Okay.
Or we can share our cell phone numbers as well. We're always on our phones. We're all across. We work in all 50 states, all across the country. So we have certain hours that are California hours, certain days where they're New York hours. So we're pretty much on. If we can answer, we answer.
Great. I appreciate it. So again, guys, you need to be taking a look at this. This is so important for your practice. Samantha and Cathy are experts in the field. How many practices do you guys work with?
We probably have 5,000 dental
Okay,
clients.
so if you're looking for the dental experts, here you go. 5,000 practices. They know this industry.
Yeah.
All right. So
And,
as mentioned before,
our services are free.
there you go. Okay, even better. So everybody out there, spring's coming right around the corner. Thank God, because it's been a crazy, tough winter here in the Northeast.
I think it starts to snow.
So it's time to spring's right around the corner. Get your spring cleaning in place. Make sure you get your stuff cleared up, and you'll be very happy that you reached out. So Samantha, Cathy, thanks so much for joining. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We're in podcast land. Do your spring cleaning early. All right. It's important to do so. Thanks everybody for listening. Thanks for all the comments, follows on social media, getting messages, and really appreciate it. And everybody out there, be safe, be happy, and make sure to call. Thanks so much, everybody. Bye-bye.
OrthoMarketing.com. 360-degree digital marketing solutions for your practice.